Can I get like a NASCAR 101 on the important why this part is there like?
Sure. My answer is I really don't know. Was it too short or too long? I don't know. And
How does it affect the car?
Man, y'all are really exposing me here. I don't know that. I don't know the reason
These
why
guys
you
just
would
drive
want it.
the cars, Travis. They don't know anything
No,
else about it.
shut up, Jared.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Action's Detrimental. I'm Denny Hamlin. I drive the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing and the co-owner of 2311 Racing for Bubba Walls and Tyler Reddick.
And your co-host?
Is
Purple Vest Guy, 560, Jared Allen. I take photos for Denny Hamlin.
and others.
And others, yes.
Yeah. So we had some off-track stuff this week. A little bit of news as far as the musical chairs of seats go. We had Carson Hocevar, who signed with Spire. That was not a very well kept secret there, but great for him. He's going to completely skip over Xfinity and go right to Cup. So I think a lot of that has to do with the results that he's had when he has subbed so far for Noah Gragson. He's had some great results. Do you have any feeling on this?
Just curious of what you would say the expectations are for him next year, considering for the most part when he's driven a Cup car this year, it's been one of the legacy cars.
Right.
What should his expectations be in the 77 Spire car?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say they should the expectations should be for him to run probably on average maybe 2 or 3 spots worse than what he's currently running in the 42. That's just a guess. I have no idea. But that would put him in the range of kind of where Corey's at. It's interesting because you never kind of know within race teams like what resources are poured into what, and especially a team like Spire Motorsports. It's we for the greater part have not known well what team gets the resources, and you would think they're under the same roof they would be the same, but there's an opportunity there where maybe one team has the A engine program, which means that whatever's the latest and greatest from Hendrick Motorsports, that's what the 7 car or 77 has. And I think maybe for a while, the 77 was a B car, so it got all the stuff that was probably 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year behind. Maybe it was used more. You just don't know. So as far as I understand, the 77 has the same thing that the 7 does. Now, of course, the 77 does not run kind of close to the 7 right now. So I think Carson should, in my opinion, probably run as good as Corey LaJoie. So, I mean, that would be a good expectation for him to run next year, which means what does that put you in points? In the low 20s? Somewhere in there? So
Corey is currently, this is owner points, the 7 car is 26th in points, and the 77 is 33rd.
Yeah. So there's a little gap there for sure. But, wow, Corey's 26th?
Yeah, the 43 and the 42 are 27th and 32nd.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. They haven't been as strong. They started the year off, decently strong, but they've kind of tailed off a little bit. So my expectation is he's run right there, probably in the low 20s consistently, and then pop off some good finishes here and there.
I guess we already knew this, too, based on the announcement back during Bristol, but Spire is now officially a 3-car team. We know that it'll be Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, and Corey LaJoie.
Yep. So, that's going to be new, interesting for sure, and see how that all plays out. Obviously, Zane is just kind of on loan over there for Trackhouse. That it's a TBD seat of where Zane will go in 2025, but you gotta assume they're either going to look for a charter and run 3 cars, or this could be a possible replacement for the 99.
Over in the Xfinity Series, Sheldon Creed will not return to RCR next season.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot on this either. Usually I've got some backstory to it. I do chuckle at times, the RCR responses. They're tweets on the blackboard. I guess you could have. Sheldon made it really clear in his message or announcement that he's decided to leave RCR, right? I mean, that was like the first sentence. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, I'm deciding I'm leaving RCR. Obviously it sounds like it wasn't a Reddick situation where they were like, timing could not be worse. This is, I don't know. Their PR department over there or something is interesting for sure, and their responses to these things. But he's leaving. I don't know where he's going, but you got to think he's got something on his mind for sure. I mean, it's certainly the results have been lackluster, in my opinion. When I saw Sheldon Creed run trucks for many years, I thought, man, he's really, really good. And I think he's going to excel when he goes to RCR in Xfinity Series. And he just hasn't. He hasn't run like I expected him to run. He's battling around the same spot every week, and that's at the back half of the top 10, maybe even in the teens. Just they're not clicking for sure. And so you can see why, and I don't know why is that, right? Is it Sheldon? Is it RCR equipment? I don't know. I just know that the results are not what I expected, and clearly it's not what Sheldon expected. And now you're going to find out wherever he goes next. Like, is this a Sheldon thing, or is this an RCR or a 2-car team, a 2-car thing, right? So I don't know, but it will be, Austin Hill. He's got success. A lot of his success has come on the super speedways, but he's a contender, I guess you could say. Certainly more of a contender on the other racetracks. So yeah, it's just that one's a head scratcher for sure. I don't know what Sheldon's doing, but I would assume he would not leave unless he had an alternative plan.
Do you have any guesses on who may replace him and drive the 2-car?
No, not offhand, not for sure. One thing we certainly need to talk about is Riley Herbst. And, once the Xfinity regular season concluded, I mentioned that I thought Riley Herbst not making the playoffs, so this was a surprise. He's been in the Xfinity Series for a while. You would think he would make it. He expected himself to make it. I expected him to make it. He didn't. But I did see a trend of a driver that is getting better this year. So it all finally came together this Saturday. Like, they hit the setup. Obviously they hit the setup because I was watching lap times throughout the event. And Riley was, when out front, he was 2-3 tenths faster every single lap. He spanked them big time. And, this is just, I think this is kind of a maturing Riley. He is getting better. We're not just saying that. His results, he's being more of a contender inside the top 5 on a regular basis, top 10 on a regular basis, where he wasn't before. So, and he's running against some guys in the Xfinity Series that have been there a while. So I think that this is a great win for him and that whole team. And I believe he announced he was coming back this week, right? So yeah, that was a big one for him. I know in his hometown, his dad Troy was there, and it's just a great all around win for him and his family, and in their hometown. And I heard they had a nice little blowout at one of the places that night. So it's really fun when you get your first. You could see how excited he was when he got out of the car. It was great to see.
I'm curious. He had a crew chief change earlier in the summer. What does that do to a driver as far as confidence goes? What happens when you have a change of crew chiefs?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did he have a change of crew chiefs because somebody went over to Cup, or I'm wondering what it was, why he had the change. Maybe they weren't getting the results they were hoping for, but I mean, I don't think I've ever had a crew chief change mid-season, except for maybe a suspension because of a tire falling off. But yeah, usually anytime I've had a crew chief change, it's happened all season. Then you've got time to kind of get to know each other, figure out what each other expects of one another. I'm imagining if it came mid-season, it is difficult because as soon as you get to the Monday or Tuesday of that week, you've flipped the switch. You're going to the next event, right? And when you have someone new over there, what's their process to get ready? Like, what information? Riley's probably wondering, well, what does he need from me? Like, is there certain information he's looking for? He's obviously been the one that's been hired to right the ship. What do I need to do to help with that? It also puts a lot of pressure on the driver as well, because it's no different than a quarterback who struggles and they change the head coach. Well, eventually you keep changing these pieces out, and the spotlight will shift to you eventually. And so anytime you've had a bunch of crew chief changes, it definitely does put the spotlight on you, and it seems like from whenever that point was, I think he's been better.
But are you to give like different information? Like, think about all the crew chiefs you had. Does Gabe Hart now require different information that like Wheels hasn't required in the past?
It's just different. It's a crew chief preference. They're trying to get your car driving as good as they possibly can. They're trying to be good leaders for their team. Everyone leads a little bit differently, and everyone has a little different style for sure. But yeah, absolutely. And as a driver, you're just trying to figure out how can the results haven't been good, haven't been running where I want to run. This new guy's coming in. What more information can I feed him to get him for something to click, to have them working on how my car can drive better? Like, when you go back to racetrack, maybe the crew chief, the new guy, is asking more questions about, well, when we were here last time, you said you had this problem, that problem, and he will hyper-focus more than likely on those issues to try to fix them for the driver and hopefully get the results. So it usually just is a reset. But yeah, each one is a little different, and I've worked with a lot of different crew chiefs, Xfinity Series and Cup, and they all definitely do things differently. That's for sure.
So Riley's crew chief went to Briscoe.
Okay.
And so then Riley's was actually the lead. His new crew chief was the lead engineer for the 10 car and Cup.
Okay. Yeah. So it was just kind of a shuffling deal over there with SHR to kind of, and that's kind of what happens at Gibbs as well. They'll shift, Xfinity crew chiefs and engineers from Cup and switch out all around. So it certainly appears to me like it was a good change for Riley.
Before we move on to Las Vegas and this weekend, let's add some context to this Travis Scott concert from last week.
Yeah, I was giving you flack on the plane, but I had no issue. It was here's I don't casually go out in a racing suit to a concert. What I thought Jared was going to piece together there is that I said, hey, we got a box from Nike and Jordan brand right here in the garage. We should do an unboxing of basically whatever is in that box. I have to wear something to the concert out of that box. No one knew that. You just placed it together like I picked this stuff out of my closet. So
Yeah.
I wanted, which that's okay too.
Technically, it is part of his closet, right? I mean, if they send him a box.
That's
No.
exactly what I thought. I was like, this is just Denny just grabbing stuff and throwing it on. And then I thought the fire suit was like a part of just like, all right.
No,
let's
so
throw
the
this
fire
deck.
suit was sitting on the kitchen counter because I requested it from Loletta over at 2311. It was Tyler's suit from Bristol. I'm like, I'm going to need that suit. So that was sitting there as well, and there was a box of stuff in the garage. And so evidently you and Charlie went through this, and you picked out kind of your 3 or 4 favorite obnoxious,
Ridiculous looking.
ridiculous outfits.
Loud.
Yeah, loud, ridiculous, and had me try each one of them on, and then had people vote on which one I should wear out. Now, I was being a team player when it comes to this. Trust me, there was not a whole lot, but I did start to lean into it, surely, as the night went on, right? And so I just threw the Tyler Reddick suit in there as a alternate, and I was actually hoping that was the one they were going to choose because I knew that, oh man, the others. I mean, things always look a little better on other people than you feel like they look on you, for sure. So I was going to be a little nervous because I just, those aren't things I would wear normally. And I was a little nervous about the outcome. Luckily, they went with the suit. Couldn't believe how many people were excited about the suit, though. Like, I got a lot of comments on the suit as I was going through the crowd. They loved it. And so, I mean, the most common question was, are you NASCAR? Like, that was the question.
Just, are you NASCAR?
Are you NASCAR? So, and I just said, yeah. And then that's it. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah. So it was fun. I went out with me and a bunch of friends to Travis Scott. It was his first concert tour date, and it was in Charlotte. Man, that was your kind of show. They had mosh pits and everything. It was huge. It was crazy. I couldn't believe we were second row in the lower level. Thank God I didn't buy floor seats. Well, they're not seats, by the way. It's a mosh pit. So there's just people going crazy in there.
Yeah, you must not know the history of Travis Scott.
I do, but it's the first time I've seen. That's the first time I've seen a mosh pit in person.
Oh, really?
Yes,
How tempting
that's
was it to go out
fascinating.
in it?
a little bit, because everyone, while banging into each other and pushing it, like they were still friendly.
Yeah. It's a unique situation because, I mean, depending on the show, right? You're in the circle and everyone's swinging arms and whatnot, but immediately if someone falls down, everyone rushes to pick the person back up and then keep throwing punches or whatever.
That's what I got a little worried of. Is like somebody's going to get down to the ground. Nobody's going to notice.
No, that's the complete opposite. If someone goes down, everyone picks them up, but then they start hitting each other again.
Oh, man. I think I kind of would like to do it then.
Yeah.
You ever seen the Dewey Cox movie? He's like, I think I kind of want to.
Did you get hot in the fire suit there at a concert?
I did not. I thought for a
Did you,
while
wear a cool, did you wear a cool shirt?
I didn't. And I did wear a shirt under, though, because just in case I did get hot, I was going to tie it around the waist. But I was fine. No issue. And I did get asked a few times, are you hot? I'm like, I'm in a car that's 125, 130. No, I'm good. I'm good here. So it was fun. The mosh pits were awesome to watch. I mean, crowd surfing. There was this guy in Doctor's Scrubs that he was.
See, your
from one
outfit
end-
wasn't that wild.
Oh, no. That's why we wore these. Like, people wear very outlandish things to this concert. It's almost like a Halloween concert, but Travis Scott apparel. It's just the wackier, the more normal, right? So, it was cool. Encourage y'all to go. He put on a great show. It was the first. He definitely had some hiccups in the show where like his stage person would come out like in the middle of the song and he talked to him and like they were working out some kinks for sure. But I thought it was great.
It was the Twitter comments were funny because you had a wide range. You had people saying that, oh my gosh, this guy's got so much drip. You got others saying, oh my gosh, this guy looks like an idiot. And then you got others being, Travis, is he talking about Travis Tritt? Like, it was great.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that there was a group that they knew I was joking. There was a group that thought that's my swag, and then that it was what the f- he was. What is he doing?
Who is Travis?
Yeah,
Who is Travis?
yeah. I mean, you didn't even put Travis Scott. You just
I
put
feel like you should know. I feel like
I
you should just know.
No,
Not
it was a
everyone.
little confusing for me, and I feel like I understood it then for a second, but it took me a minute to
see.
You failed this week, Jay.
Yeah, he just made me look silly instead.
You did look silly.
I know. Thanks. Mission
I
accomplished.
thought people would know Travis concert. Like I did not think that would be.
Listen, the whole point
confusing.
was I was supposed to be going through the box.
If I Google Travis concert,
I don't know what's in the
Travis
box,
Scott
but I'm going to wear something that's in this box. That was what it was supposed to be, Travis.
The question at work was whose idea? Was it your idea originally, Denny, to do that, or was it Jared's idea?
Jared.
Was it Charlie's idea? Charlie texted me. He's like, "Hey, by the way, Denny just got this box." I knew Charlie was kind of scheming. I think Charlie just wanted the box to be open so he could see what extra stuff was in there that he could take.
You're right. Charlie, he plays both sides. We know that, right?
Yeah,
The old silver fox.
but oh gosh, I don't know. Charlie, Denny's idea.
Definitely not mine.
How it was executed.
But I was okay with it. I understood. Listen, you wanted to shoot some content, and I obliged.
It worked out. It has a lot of views, way more than the average on Instagram Reels. So I don't care what he says. It did its job.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on from that.
Experience the thrill of the racetrack like you're in the driver's seat with DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on your favorite racers and feel the rush of every pass, pit stop, and victory like never before. Right now, new customers can turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Bet 5 on anything to score big no matter what goes down on the track. The action is going to heat up as the drivers take on Homestead Miami Speedway. Could a playoff driver secure the win, or will another look to play spoiler? With so much on the line, make sure to tune in to Dirty Mo Dough as they handicap the field and recommend bets to watch. With props, parlays, and more, there will be action to follow all race long. The racing doesn't stop till the checkered flag drops. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and join with code ACTIONS. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. That's code ACTIONS only on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
We actually had a race this past Sunday at Vegas, the first of the round of 8. So there's only 8 of us left. Generally speaking, let's just give Jared, give me your kind of, you left there thinking what? Like,
I thought it was a solid playoff race.
I agree.
All
I
8
agree.
drivers were super competitive. No one really had any issues during the race.
mm-hmm.
There were some comers and goers.
It was kind of like a status quo race, right? It's like kind of what you expected. Nothing that wasn't, no playoff drivers had issues during the race.
right.
So yeah, it was. I looked, I got back to the bus, I look at the scoring monitor, I'm like, oh, well, we all finished in the top 10.
Yeah, and it was one of those races too where the best driver probably won. I mean, qualifying was Larson and Seabell, and
No
Larson
doubt.
and Seabell were the top 2 guys on Sunday as well.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, best car, best driver won. No question about it. He spanked the field when at Texas. Kyle Larson did and backed it up with a really, really strong run at Vegas on Sunday. He really didn't have, I mean, I was trying to think, did he have really some contenders throughout the day? But once he was out front, it didn't look like there was many contenders until the very end with Seabell. I didn't know if lap traffic played a role in that or not. But yeah, I think that clearly when it comes to the mile and a halves, he's standoutish, even to his team. You look at the team cars, the 9, the 48 and 24, he's just been a gap ahead of those guys. So it's just they got it going on right now, and now they can shift their focus towards Homestead, not Homestead, to Phoenix. So what that means when someone says, and you'll see it in the media a lot this week, Larson's got an advantage. They'll talk about Larson has an advantage because he can now shift his resources and thoughts into Phoenix. What that basically means is that he's going to spend extra time instead of doing a bunch of work for Homestead and meeting with his crew chief about Homestead this, Homestead that, how can we do this, what's our strategy. They'll shift their focus into, what do we need to do to run well and win at Phoenix. And, while it is a very, very small advantage, it is still an advantage because they're not having to hyper-focus hours and hours and hours on what's our strategy for this race or that race or Martinsville. What are we going to do there? Do we need to run extra sim time? It's not historically been a great track for him. He can forget all that. Pass that up and go right to Phoenix and apply that extra time.
I was hearing, though, that he had said, and Cliff Daniels had said, that it's not necessarily an advantage because you don't want to take your foot off the gas, right? You don't want to take a break and look away from these next 2 tracks. You don't want to go to Homestead and Martinsville and just run average and then show up at Phoenix hoping to have that mojo again, right?
Yeah, I think that I understand that for sure. There's no question there will be a shift of resources towards Phoenix for sure. Do we expect them to go to Homestead and run average? No, we don't. We expect him to be up front. He was really dominant in that race last year. Martinsville, I'm not sure. It's a kind of roll the dice, but it really doesn't matter for him at this point. So,
isn't this more like a college football team, for example, when you have a cupcake, you're going to focus and game plan for that week, but you're also going to spend a little extra time on the bigger game coming up, right?
So most likely, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would think that a college team, let's just say what's your favorite team?
Ohio State.
All right, let's say you're Ohio State.
Or playing the Charlotte 49ers.
That'd be a good example.
Okay, you've got Michigan in 2 weeks, but you play the Charlotte 49ers this week. Do you think the people in the film room are looking at Charlotte 49ers film? No. Travis, no. They're not, right? They're already putting clips together for Ohio State.
Yeah, for Kyle, he's going to, some people, all right, I think on the teardown, they're like, and here's an extra 10 minutes that we're going to go work on the Phoenix car that we would have maybe worked on the Martinsville car.
Yep. Yeah, because you don't want to assume, like even if you run second, you're not going to assume, they won't assume that they're moving on, right? They don't know until they win the race. So they're going to have to, they feel like they got to go in every racetrack and win these next 3. But now you don't. So absolutely there'll be a little shift there. But he's still going to be strong these next few weeks. Martinsville, I don't know. He as a driver has been very hit or miss there. He's had some better races for sure over the last few years, but I think the 24 car and the 48 are really, his other teammates have all been really good. The 9 is won at Martinsville many times. So yeah, they all are going to be really strong. So I would expect Kyle to be pretty strong as well. But again, the care factor will not be as high. That's just mentality. I'm telling you, he's shifting his focus towards Phoenix, which will be a small advantage, but it will be something.
Did you see his save? I guess it was early in
stage
1.
I was probably
Stage
half
2?
a straight. Yeah, I was a half a straightaway back when he made that save. All I saw was smoke, and so I didn't know. And then I saw him dropping really quickly. I think I passed him maybe down the next straightaway. Yeah, it was down the next straightaway on the front stretch. So I wasn't too far behind him, but I did see it. I saw him comment that he felt lucky that the wall was there, which absolutely helped him save it. But he's got a good technique for saving a car. Like it's the old lockdown, iRacing lockdown, the brakes, and yeah, it's just him. He made a great save, and then even though he was dropping a rock there because he probably flat spotted his tires, He definitely got the caution that he needed.
How pivotal do you think that caution was?
Caution, I mean, it was pivotal to him getting his track position back. So I remember, if I remember correctly, he fell back a spot or two, a few spots. I passed some others. And then when we came to pit road, he passed us right back. Like on pit road, he got back a handful of spots. Then he passed one or two cars on the restart, right?
I want to say you actually had a faster pit stop than him on that one too, but his selection, he was right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my fault. We qualified 15th, and we had to go around a car most of the day. However, I'm not sure who was driving. Was it the 15 or 51? Who's in the 51? Anyone know? We can look. But they did choose later in the race to stay out. So thank you, Rick Ware, crew chief of the 51, for allowing us to have an opening out there late in the race because they knew we were battling.
Shout out JJ Yaley.
JJ Yaley. Okay, awesome. They chose to stay out one of the cautions to let us pit cleanly. And that happens a lot. Actually, the TV doesn't talk about it that much, but sometimes guys in the back will choose to stay out when the pit road opens if they know they're pitted around contenders in the race. So it's just kind of a little courtesy to them. It's interesting on pit road. I thought we had a good solid day. I didn't notice any stops that were out of the ordinary, but we definitely lost spots. Obviously we came in the leader, came out, I think, third or fourth, something like that. You
lost most spots, it seemed like, just to the 2-car pit stops or the 2-tire pit stops. Like other guys would come
that's
down.
A point too, yeah.
You would lose spots to those guys who took 2 tires.
Two.
Then you'd have to struggle to pass them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. All of it plays a factor, right? It's not just, how fast is your pit stop. It's how fast are you rolling down pit road. All those things play a factor. Are you having to go around somebody because that affects your time leaving your pit stall, or are you going around someone on entry? That affects your pit stop time. All of it plays a factor, but yeah, there was some really, really fast pit stops out there. The 20, he had the number 1 pit stall, so he would always gain on the exit because of the timing line there. So, it was a competitive race. We were racing around the same cars all day. It seemed like, the 5, the 1 made a really strong charge there towards the middle stages of the race. He was really fast on the short run. 22 was fast on the short run, but they would drop an anchor after that. It was I thought it was kind of status quo, but Larson dominated, showed his strength, punched his ticket to the Final Four early, and there's not much else. I mean, you had Gibbs, he lost a tire there. It was interesting, the tire and the wheel, right?
The tire and the wheel.
But the tire was off the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that happen?
You tell me. You're the race car driver.
Clearly, I'm not a pit crew guy. I'm a race car driver, so I'm asking you to observe what happened. I didn't make any sense to me while the wheel was separated from the tire, because it looked like the tire was, I don't know, it looked like it came just off the rim. I mean, obviously it was a loose wheel, right? Because they didn't get it was a loose wheel.
Yeah, it was a loose wheel, yeah, because they penalized, and the lug nut was still on the wheel, like when it came off, like it was all on one, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a race down through turn 2 between the wheel and the rim.
Damn. So they penalized him a couple laps?
Yeah, they held him.
Yep.
Huh.
The new old tire rule.
Yeah. That's better. It's versus the 4 races and stuff. Like, I agree. Let's get the penalty over with, and that's the way they should do it. They did penalize 2 drivers for laying back. Yep. Good job, NASCAR. Great job. We have to have this. This is going to get the attention of the drivers. They told me to start the race. Hey, someone had been penalized in Xfinity for laying back. Stay closed up.
Is this how?
And then when someone had it at the beginning, maybe it was a 40.
AJ Allmendinger.
AJ, they just said, hey, they busted the 16 for laying back. Stay tightened up. Like my team would tell me that. So that's, and then did they get the 9? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're putting a line in the sand that they're not going to put up with it. And certainly this is what we asked for, and I applaud them for doing this because it had gotten out of hand. We saw how awful that restart was at Kansas at the end with guys laying back. And so I like this move, certainly, and hopefully it changes some people's mindsets when it comes to laying back on restarts.
Is this how you set a precedence? You start tagging these guys who are mid-pack, hoping that it gets to the guys who are in the front, so you don't have to alter a race by black flagging the guy in second or something.
But it's saying that we will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chase's car is a contender for the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, they're in the owners' championship, so they took it serious by dinging him. So. Yeah.
What did you make of the 19 teams' decision to stay out on that sequence that you took the lead? They lost quite a bit of track position. I guess at the end of the day, they made most of it back up or, enough. But
yeah. I mean, I didn't know where they ran all day because I didn't see them all day except for that time they did stay out and we passed them for the lead.
Well, they were behind you, obviously.
Yeah. But it's, I didn't know whether they just had handling struggles or they fought trying to battle back their track position. I don't know. I mean, how far back did they go?
I believe 16th, Travis, as far as they dropped back.
That
Maybe
sounds right.
Him and Busher were back there mid-teens.
Yeah, so they rallied late. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying on this podcast for weeks now that I just think the 19 team is going to flip a switch and they're going to be there, and you just might as well count on it. I still believe it. I do. Until they don't make the next round, I still believe it. I think they were stronger than their finish yesterday. I will say that. I think that they did get behind on that call. I don't know that it was a bad call though. I mean, I guess the result showed that it didn't work out, but I mean, there was others with 2 tires calls that it worked. Well, I guess he was the only one that actually stayed out. That's you're nodding your head like, wait a minute, I was about to correct you. They stayed out. So, yeah, I mean, I saw Martin because there was one car between us. Before we came to pit road, he was very wishy-washy. You can tell as a driver when you're looking at the car in front of you, is he pitting or not? You can tell by the body language of the car. Like because he's cleaning his tires off. That means he's getting it ready to go in the pit stall so he doesn't slide, or he's pulling down on the apron, telling you, "I'm pitting here. I'm pitting." And you could just see with Truex, he was always a half a car wide to the right, like giving himself an option to pull out on the racetrack or pull down pit lane. And he, for the most part, he was lining up and he was going down the bottom. And then I saw his car go a little to the right, then back to the bottom. Then he went to the right. And I don't know how many laps were on our tires. Oh, it was at the end of stage.
It was in the middle of stage 2.
1.
What?
He stayed out.
It was at the end of stage 1.
Into stage 1 because we had pitted. We had 11 laps on our tires.
Because you came out second and you quickly went to the lap to take the lead and think then Hocevar brought a caution out maybe.
Yep. So we were on 2. A handful of guys were on 2. Then there was 4. And so the problem with staying out is that you need to stay up front. Like you really got to stay up front because if you get swallowed up pretty early on restarts, it just keeps getting worse. 4 tires are passing you every lap. You can't run the line you want to run because you got cars splitting you 3 wide. And so he probably needed it to go ahead and have a quick caution so he could recover from that. But yeah, it's one of those things where they made a call to stay out. This probably seems like a great call, genius call if 3 or 4 others stay. I mean, it's just sometimes the right call is just dependent on what the others do. It's not your call. It's do others join you in making that decision? And when no one did, that's when it could have been, yeah, we probably should have taken tires.
I was just curious. I mean, that kind of answers this question that I was about to ask. But, is the 19 team right now just overthinking everything based on recent results throughout the playoffs, like trying to, figure out how to get back into that regular season winning form?
I don't know. I mean, in a few hours in the debrief, I'm going to sit right next to the 19 team. I sit between the 19 and the 45 team in our Monday meeting. And so I don't know. I don't know if they're overthinking. I don't think so. I think that team's well led, and I'm not sure, but certainly the mojo they had they don't have that. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like this sport is just so week to week that, like, you could have 10 bad weeks, and if you're a strong team, you can turn it on the next week. Or I feel that way because of me and my team, but that's all I know. So I don't know whether that is a real thing on others or not. So, but certainly they're struggling to get results. They've gotten unlucky in this bad run of races as well. But you look at the playoff grid, they're still right there. They're still +3. Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Truex is still the top 4. We started the playoffs with those 4, or this round with those 4 up top, and he still got them up top. So
I mean, if there was a team that's going to have issues for just the audio as a fan, James Small, Martin Truex is the car that you want to have, because their dialogue in the races is the best to listen to.
Is it?
Oh, it's the perfect.
I saw a clip on NASCAR's Twitter, but I didn't open it, and it said this duo, and it had a laughing emoji. What?
It's just constant. Like they sound like a married couple that is just like sick of each other. But it's just like, but that's just how they operate. And that Truex said, like, I shouldn't have listened to you or something, like, but I'm not good at that. Like, it's just, they're just perfect. And then James Small with the accent too, like, just makes it.
Yeah, I know that James is a pretty soft-spoken individual. He's very soft-spoken. And Truex is not shy about saying, I can't hear you. I can't understand you. And he had to be, for him to have an accent and soft-spoken, and Truex is not shy about calling out both. It's just, it is laughable. It's funny. It is funny. It's funny because it's not me. It's not my situation that's going on. But they are a married couple for sure. They they got that kind of relationship that they're all right with giving each other about stuff that maybe others are not comfortable with.
Yeah, banter.
Yeah, it's just banter amongst teammates. Yeah. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? I know that's a bold question, but it's got that irresistible taste to back it up. Well, when you've got an irresistible match like zero sugar and 0 calories, something sensational is bound to happen. It's like when me and my co-host Jared team up to make a podcast. It's too bad you can't taste with your ears, because Coke Zero Sugar tastes so amazing, it's hard to put it into words. But hey, that's my job, at least on Mondays. You have to taste it for yourself. Coke Zero Sugar, the best Coke ever?
One thing we haven't touched upon yet is how you feel about your day.
I mean, I'm obviously disappointed in the way we closed the end of that race. There was a couple defining moments. One was restarted 5th, and then Logano split me 3 wide. I was tucked up on the car in front of me, pushing them, and then all of a sudden he gets a run on me and sticks me 3 wide in the middle, and that was still okay. But Chastain, he gave me room on the in the middle lane, but then all of a sudden he turned left and didn't give me room, and I'm squeezed between him and Logano, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. I mean, like 2 guys that don't care about the playoffs now, and so I'm in the middle of them, and I still hold my ground, and then the caution came out, so I lost 2 spots, and then I think we restarted. We got some of those spots back, and I liked my car, but I'd got sideways in one of the corners and got a little loose, and so we made some adjustments in the last stop, and it didn't fit the car that well, and I couldn't go anywhere. It just was I had a ton less grip and just didn't work out. So we faded there to 10th. What we probably, I think about kind of where we should have battled. I mean, I certainly thought that we were as good as Bell throughout the day, if not better in the long run. And just couldn't, just every time my car started coming in and I started to really go forward, the caution would come out, and just never got the long enough runs to really let it all pay off for me. It's probably, I certainly thought we had a top 5 car and ran in the top, inside the top 5 for most of the day. Just didn't get the result. We didn't have a catastrophic day, but just, by our standards, below average on our day there, for sure.
How do you feel about the playoff grid now being +4?
I wish I was plus more, but on to Homestead. I mean, I saw, on a Cincinnati by Belichick, I can't change the result, right? I can't go back and rerun the race. So just moving on to Homestead and trying to figure out how to extend that gap and win the race.
Post-race, Ryan Blaney was disqualified. Left front shock did not meet the overall length specified by NASCAR.
Yikes. I'm going to need a show and tell session by NASCAR to why it was not. I don't know, was the shock altered or did they put it together and not meet the specified length? And the teams are pretty diligent on making sure that those are the right length. How it ended up not being, not sure. Hard for me to speculate. We'll know when we go to Homestead this week.
Can I get like a NASCAR 101 on the important why this part is there like?
Sure. My answer is I really don't know. Was it too short or too long? I don't know. And
How does it affect the car?
Man, y'all are really exposing me here. I don't know that. I don't know the reason
These
why
guys
you
just
would
drive
want it.
the cars, Travis. They don't know anything.
No,
else about
shut up, Jared. I don't. On this subject, listen, I didn't bring it up because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I need to do some research on it for sure, and I probably should have before I grabbed the mic today. I don't know whether you want that short or long, and why you would want it short or long. So I don't know. I need to find that out. But it wasn't the specified length, that's for sure. And it was not the specified length, so NASCAR said you broke the rules and you get DQ'd. That's what they're doing. Go NASCAR. Doing a great job. Inspection, they're not, I can give you a NASCAR 101 about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They'd say, hey, don't do that. Don't do that again. They would let so much stuff go that was blatantly wrong, but they didn't. They were just apprehensive to lay down big penalties because they didn't like the bad pub and all that. Not anymore. They're like, we don't care who you are, what you're doing. Don't mess with this next-gen car. We give you the rules, play in those rules, and if you don't, you're going to get DQ'd. So I like that.
I'm genuinely curious if, something like this was on purpose or it was just an accident, because it seems like NASCAR set the precedent that you're not going to get away with cheating these things if that's what you're doing, which makes me think,
is it on purpose or an accident? If it's an accident, that is a huge mistake.
Yeah, there's no way that something on the car's an accident.
When they did the show and tell on Harvick's windshield, where they said, okay, these are airplane grade fasteners. This is not a washer. It pretty much told me what I needed to know on that, right? That these bolts did not accidentally fall out. Like, they just don't. Like, even if you unscrew them, you cannot unscrew them enough for them to fall out.
I get it.
It's just not possible.
It's just Blaney wasn't a race-winning car yesterday. So if you're taking this chance to...
Was he better than he has been on mile and a halves?
Yes.
So then what are we talking about?
It
doesn't matter. He doesn't have to win the race.
He just needed to make up points and stay a lot like...
And he was doing a great job of it.
I guess he was still 7th in the standings post race before.
This is touchy
penalty.
for me because I don't know. I mean, did that play any factor in how well he ran? I have no idea. This is where I'm a race car driver. I am not a mechanic. That is for sure. Now, I worked on my own when I was younger, and when I crashed it, I had to fix it as well. But it's too technical for me to answer. This is where we need a real crew chief in here explaining why someone would want that shorter or longer. I'll get the explanation later, but it's going to be too late.
Yeah. Did you cheat up your car when you were younger, when you were working on it?
No, sir. No, sir. People thought, I mean, we won so many races in late models, people thought that we were, but we didn't. I had great equipment in the latter parts of my late model career. Won 25 out of 35 in 2004, set 6 track records that year. That's what got me noticed by Joe Gibbs, or really it was by J.D. Gibbs, who came to the test at Hickory. And then he called Joe and says, hey, I think we might have found something here. But I just had great equipment and short tracks. I just felt, like I was strong at them. Personally, I was strong at them. So I can't recall any time we got thrown out of a race or disqualified or anything like that. Now, they would tear us down every single week. And that used to be the biggest pain in the ass when it came to short track racing, was that, is the track or a competitor would protest your car just to get you to tear it down, tear it all apart.
To put it back together.
Just to make you spend money to put it back together. Because a lot of times if it was an engine, you would have to send the engine back to the engine builder to get reassembled and put back together. So, and when they take it apart, they got to put new parts back in it. And it would cost you significant money. And so if you just wanted to be a dick to someone, you could just protest them and make them tear their car all apart. And, that's the way that goes. I don't know if rules are still that way or not, but, that was kind of a crappy system back in the day. But no, I don't recall. I didn't get DQ'd till I came to the Xfinity and Cup Series. I've had some encumbered wins. I had the one at Darlington where they ripped the trophy literally right out of my hands, leaving the media center saying, sorry, we're going to need that back. Your Xfinity car didn't pass inspection. I'm like, what? And at that point, you got me at Darlington. Why do we need? We don't need a thousandth of an inch. Don't make it close. Just let me run the ball here. But yeah, it's just, I think this is a changing of the guard, and certainly NASCAR made it very apparent when they came out with this next gen, and they told us all. They told every team owner, we're not going to put up with any shenanigans, and if it's not right, it's not right. There is no gray area here. It's black and it's white. And so they're putting their foot down, and it cost Ryan Blaney. Now he's 56 out of the cut. He will not make up 56 in 2 races, so he will need to win.
He's in a must-win situation. Headed to Homestead this weekend. Thoughts?
I don't have any personal thoughts. I think that it's a strong track for us. I can't remember how we ran there last year. I think we were somewhere in the top 5. I got in the wall late trying to push, and I don't know, probably finished 6th or 7th. But I don't know. It's been a good track for us. We won there 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's, I'm +4. My goal is to extend that out and win the race. So I love their track. There's been a lot of talk about should we move the finale back to Homestead. I don't know. If we run Homestead, just because people aren't in love with the racing product at Phoenix. That's the reason they're saying this, right? Or should we move it around, move it back? They don't love the racing product at Phoenix. That's a Goodyear problem, in my opinion. If we get the tire right, you will have a much better race at Phoenix. But they're trying, I guess, and it's just a really slow process to try to get it better. Just know that if NASCAR lets races play out as they should in the finale, if Homestead race goes green, there could be someone with a 15-second lead. All right, and so you're going to have to be okay with that as well. So it's not just automatically going to be the light switch of, oh, this is the racing we're looking for. And some people like for it to play out naturally. They like someone to get a 15-second lead and show that, hey, I'm just spanking the field here. This is just, domination. I'm one of those people. I like when they let it go. No shenanigans, no cautions that were very questionable. Like just letting it play out because there's a lot at stake, and the team spent a ton of money to run well, and they deserve, if they've got an advantage in the race, they deserve to keep that advantage. And so I don't know what the right answer is when it comes to the finale and where do you put it. But you have a chance for a runaway every single race that we go to. So
what do you think of Las Vegas potentially being thrown into the mix?
I didn't think about that, but I think that certainly it could. Sure. Vegas could do it. The weather would be fine.
It's a destination city. This was brought up on the teardown, which is why I'm asking you.
Be a heck of a place to win a championship at.
Yeah, no doubt. Not going to happen.
Why?
SMI track. This is the red tape that people don't know about that you're just not going to get around. NASCAR owns the championship date. It will happen at a NASCAR owned track.
Can't there be like a deal worked out there where
a deal? They're not. Jared, NASCAR's not gonna. There's no deal that Marcus Smith can like.
Oh no, I think the answer lies somewhere between y'all. I think they could make a deal, but this is the politics of NASCAR. You want to own the championship date because you get good ratings, great fan turnout. Which means lots of ticket sales, concession sales, parking, camping, all that stuff. So, yeah, the one would have to concede to the other and then have to make a cash offer to get it. But Vegas certainly is a racetrack and a city and a property that you would be okay with it being part of the championship weekend. Yes.
Yeah. I just think that everyone wants to see the championship race rotate, and I really just don't think there's that many options.
There's not. Yeah. There's not because, when we race till November, when we
Right.
go from winter to winter, basically,
Yeah.
it's not, I get it, winter's later, but it's, you limit your options. If our championship ended in September, like it probably should, or October, then yeah, you've got absolutely more options for sure.
Yeah. You want a destination city with good weather, with good racing. And
Right.
there's very few places that
Now,
check all three.
the negative part of it too, right, is that Las Vegas fans don't turn out like they do at Phoenix. Phoenix sells out. That's why we can bust on Phoenix just because of the racing product, but it's that the city turns out there.
Would the fans show up in Vegas though if it was the championship race?
That's a big if, Travis.
I do agree though that like there's so many things in Vegas to offer that it's hard to.
Is it really a sports town though?
That's what I'm saying. Like LA sometimes
People
has
go to
issues
the
drawing because there's
hockey
so
game.
much to do. You're in Vegas. There's a billion things that they're offering.
I know, but like this weekend, right? We were competing against a home Raiders game. The PGA Tour was there as well. Like saturation. Talk about like, competing. Like it's just, and we had our fair share of fans show up, but there's only
For what it's worth.
There's only so many sports fans. So where are you going to go?
For what it's worth, if this is accurate, this is Wikipedia, so it might not be accurate. Capacity of Phoenix is 45,000. Vegas is 80,000. So, I mean, that plays a part in how it looks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you took all the fans from Phoenix and put them in Vegas, it would look half full.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. Again, for one track entity to give it to the other would be a lot of red tape and a lot of money exchanged because there's value there. So I don't know that it will happen just because of that red tape. But yeah, it is going to be challenging. I mean, what are the tracks that we really could go to? It's limited. It certainly is limited. Trying to think. Darlington is somewhat south, but that's going to be cold. Travis is like,
Not
cold.
a destination city.
And not a destination city. And,
No, they have to race on Labor Day weekend.
And by the way, we don't even have garages at Darlington. The garage area is basically this asphalt with a lean-to. So it's not. Yeah, you got to mark that one off the list. I don't even know. Then we start to get into super speedways. I don't know. That could be the next thing that's on our schedule. Don't be surprised. Daytona's our finale.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I got 2 Dear Denny's for you this week. First one, how is the Netflix experience going?
It's going good. I've been very open to those guys, and certainly if you've seen around the racetrack, they've usually got about 3 guys following us around, and it's they've got, I don't know how many crews they have, but I've seen, I work specifically with this one crew, and I see that there's alternate crews of like maybe 2 or 3 others. I'm not really sure, but I'm assigned this one, and they've been great to work with. All those guys are just awesome. Like I talk to them when we're not filming. Like they're all really cool guys, and so they've been following for is it a couple months now? Yeah, it's probably been a couple months. A few races before the start of the playoffs, and the intensity of them filming is going to keep it's going to keep ramping up as it trickles down. You want to be one of the goals in racing is you always want to be part of the story the entire season, right? I mean, there's a handful of them that got eliminated in the round of 12. Even if you get eliminated in the round of 8, you're only irrelevant for one race, right? Because you're still part of the story for 35 of the 36 races. And so it's really important, for us and certainly for our team to participate in it. We think it's a big part of, a potential NASCAR growth moment. So we want to give them great access. And I mean, you hear guys like Joey saying, I don't like it. It's a little too evasive. I mean, that's where you're going to get the content, though, is letting them in on your day and not changing what you do just because film crews around.
Yeah, I don't know what is being shot with other drivers, but I will say I think if you're listening to this and you're a Denny Hamlin fan, when this show comes out, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the amount of access that you'll see because of which you've been given.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is too, I do a lot of stuff not racing related, right? I mean, whether it be the basketball league, the golf league, whatever it is, like I'm always doing other stuff, and I always have a group of friends I hang around. I've got a bunch of kid time. There was kind of a great moment that they got with me and my kids after what race was that? Darlington. Yeah, one that hurt for sure. One that we dominated that race. So yeah, they got some good stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. But it's going well.
Who has the trophy from the 2007 AT&T 250 at the Milwaukee Mile, you or Almirola? If neither, do you know what happened to it, and do you even want the trophy given the circumstances?
I mean, I don't need the trophy, no. Do I want it? I wouldn't mind having one, but it's like, I get it. I don't know who has the trophy. As far as I know, Eric says that he doesn't have it. I don't have it. I'm wondering.
For those who are unfamiliar with
just
this,
a crew guy has it.
For those who are unfamiliar with this situation, can you recount it real quick?
Yeah, I was running Cup, and Eric, was he in Xfinity? I can't even remember. It's been so long ago. I'm not sure if he was in Xfinity or just a test driver or something for us. But I was in Sonoma on a cup race weekend, and we were in Milwaukee, which is the home of Rockwell Automation. Rockwell Automation was my very first Xfinity sponsor. And so it was a home race for them. It meant a lot for them. I had built a relationship with Rockwell, and they wanted to see me in the car. I flew back after practice. There was cars parked on the helipad. So I went from the airport and then was supposed to have a helicopter from the airport to the track. I get in the helicopter, and next thing you know, we're circling around. I'm like, what's going on? Why aren't we landing? I see they're about to start the race. And he's like, there's cars parked on the helipad. I had to go land back at the airport, drive there, and by then we were probably 15 laps into the race, something like that. And so Eric runs, and he's leading the race. He qualified on the pole and led the race. Now, we had helped,
First 59 laps.
First, he raced in
50,
the first.
Yeah, 59.
Of how many laps was it?
I'll check that.
Okay. Maybe it was 200, 250.
120. No, that's laps led. 250.
I'm gonna say something real quick.
All right.
This is the 2007 AT&T 250 at the Milwaukee Mile. It's a mile-long racetrack. They run 250.
I didn't hear you say the AT&T 250. I'm sorry.
Didn't you hear the 250 part?
No.
AT&T is relevant.
So anyway, here's
Just saying the math checks out.
I got a message. I got a message from my crew chief. At the time was Dave Rogers, my now competition director at 2311. And he says, they want you in the car. And at this time, Eric is leading the race. And I'm like, I just look over at him. We're on the pit box. Race is going on. I give him the old, I'm not getting it. No way. I don't want to do it. He's fine. He's good. He's leading. They're like, okay, we're going to let him stay in there. But if he loses the lead or it looks like he's starting to struggle, they want you in the car. And so the whole time I'm sitting there going, please stay up front, Eric. Just please stay up front. And on lap 59, apparently, he lost the lead. And then he faded to third. And they're like, next pit stop, you're getting in. I'm like, all right, let me do this. I did it. I went a lap down. I went maybe 2 down. Maybe it was 1. Got the lucky dog back. And then how many laps did we lead? 100. Is that right?
I don't see how many laps. Carl Edwards had the most with 123.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we drove back to the front, won the race. And obviously you could see the video of Eric. He's pissed off, and crew guys are trying to talk to him, and he's shrugging them off as he's walking back to the hauler after he got pulled out of the car.
He left the race before it ended.
Yeah. So he didn't get the trophy. I don't know where that trophy is. I'm thinking a crew member actually has that trophy. If you are the owner of that trophy, I'll pay you a $500 finder's fee to return it. So just for the story, because I want to, when I'm older, and this is all I've got is to tell old stories about, old races. It'd be a fun show and tell. Eric Almirola, that was his congratulations. That was his only Xfinity win, I believe. No, wrong. He won at Sonoma this past year. Mm-hmm. It was his only win up until that point. He won that race because I remember, what's interesting. What came to my head then was like the moment he had with his kids, which I thought was just awesome. So yeah, he's listed as the winner. I crossed the start-finish line. Let's just say it was a team effort. It was a team effort all around, and we won it together.
That's a crazy set of circumstances. That's like in football, like, hey, a single drive without a first down, you're going to the bench.
And yet got credited for the victory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess baseball and pitching, it's probably somewhat like that, right?
Yeah.
You get credited with a win, but you got to be leading.
Yeah, when you come out of the game.
When you come out of the game. So, yeah, I guess it's...
Yeah.
So, hold on. Travis, you're a sports guy. if a pitcher has a lead, say it's six
You have to go
to 5.
You have to go so many innings though.
Okay, but then what if you lose the lead, but then your team comes back and wins?
The pitcher that was out there
Yeah,
when the lead was regained gets the win.
I don't know how I would relate it to this, and
No, it's
I'm
kind
not
of
sure I really want to.
It's kind of the same thing. Whereas Eric was leading the race, and then he came out of the game. You came in, and you Denny got the save. It's a win and a save. Eric got the win. Denny got the save. It's a 1-0
But
game.
he wasn't leading. He wasn't leading when he came out.
Oh.
It's the closest we can come up with.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, fun story. It's in the past. It was 2007, so a billion years ago. What else you got? Got a review?
A review. Yeah. This is a good one. This is from Matt Boltuck. I think I pronounced that right. I grew up a huge Jimmy Johnson fan. I always liked Denny growing up, but couldn't root for him during the 2010 chase. After listening to the podcast the last 8 months or so, Denny is undoubtedly one of my all-time favorite drivers. Pulling for the 11 car to win a championship more than ever this year. He's got a lifetime fan in me now.
Awesome. Yeah, that 2010 chase with Jimmy, heartbreaking. That was certainly one where I look back and say, man, I could have done something different. I just I can tell you about just how I handled that weekend, and clearly I just I was nervous that weekend. I changed what I had been doing, what made me successful. Our car was really fast. All year I thought that we had the fastest car, and I just I didn't get it done. We just had issues in qualifying. I second-guessed myself, started qualifying in a different spot because somebody ran a fast lap. I just didn't handle that right. I locked myself in my hotel room, wouldn't see any friends or family, and during Homestead weekend, championship weekend's always fallen on my birthday weekend up until the last couple years when they moved it up 1 week. And, yeah, I just remember, no, I'm going to study, I'm going to watch film, I'm going to look at all this stuff. I don't want to see anyone. I just want to concentrate. And that was the absolute wrong thing I needed to just play loose in the final week and didn't. Again, that was the other one where we dominated Phoenix the week before and ran out of fuel because of fuel miscalculation. That was the infamous taking the water bottle and throwing it up against the side of the car. My little tantrum there. So it was a tough one because we had Jimmy down, our foot was on his throat, and it was over. If we finished off Phoenix like we had been running, we had dominated the race, and just didn't do it. We'd have had just to start our car at Homestead and go collect our championship. But that 48 team, they were resilient. They kept putting the pressure on us, and we folded in that last race, and so just didn't work out. And that was probably the best opportunity I had as far as, the car speed that we brought to the racetrack. And me and Jimmy were basically racing heads up in that last race. I think we had 15 points difference between us. I had a lead. So that means he could have finished 2 spots, or if he finished 2 spots ahead of me, he would have won the championship or something like that. So I started in the back, got in a wreck because I was 3 wide, and I just got squeezed, and I went down to the bottom, spun, and it hurt the car, and we never recovered. That was a bummer. Hated that weekend.
You got a lifetime fan now, though.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you tuning in. And check us out next week after Homestead, and hopefully we give you all a little bit more better news than we had this week. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all soon.